Men, and as usual, I use the term loosely. The motorcycle, and I use the term loosely when describing the vehicle in front of you as a motorcycle. The motorcycle in front of you is owned by a disabled veteran, and he was further disabled when he collided with or was collided into by a motor vehicle and totally fucked up his leg. He had an Evo Softail, I believe it was, and the bike, of course, was totaled, and it left the guy kind of crippled. Anyway, he wants to ride a motorcycle again, and he bought this thing to just kind of futz around on. And this thing is pretty rough. The transmission is probably totaled. Amongst the many other things on it that are also no good. The trans is no good. We're going to take a look at that. And that is actually the purpose of this video. We're going to pop the trans out. I'm going to show you what's wrong with this particular trans. And I'm going to give you kind of a quickie diagnosis after we pull it out. I'm going to show you how to take it out and kind of how to evaluate it once it is out. So stand by. Let's get into this thing. Okay, you're looking at the transmission main shaft, and the bike needed a bunch of work. It needed a top end on it, the generator was fried, the rear wheel was fried, the brakes were fried, the starter was fried, the solenoid was cracked open, and the sprocket was shot. So it was while I was taking the sprocket off that I noticed this. Notice the free play in that shaft. Clearly the bearings are trashed in that thing. So amongst the many hundreds of dollars the guy's going to have to spend on this thing, we're going to pull the trans out and see what's wrong with that. We're going to put the camera on the other side. I'm going to show you how to trans out pretty quick. It's really not too big of a deal. And a guy who's good at it could probably get one out of the bike in an hour or two. So we'll dig into that. Okay, so anyway, he thought it needed a top end, and indeed it did, because the rear piston was rusted into the cylinder and the engine was locked up. So we pulled the top end off, pulled the swing arm off, pulled the brake off, got it loosened up. This gadget right here is the going to be part of the shifting mechanism for the forward controls. Machined this out of a chunk of steel. Doing the splines is very tricky. I should have videoed that, but I didn't. So let's get the primary cover off and see what's under there. There shouldn't be any oil in it anymore. The primary cover's cracked, and it pretty much puked all of the oil out all over my floor over the last couple of weeks. He thought it was just the primary cover was leaking, and he resealed this a couple times and didn't have any success. It kept leaking. And unfortunately for this particular owner, everything I touch on this bike turns into a can of worms. You know, the guy's trying to build this thing a little bit on a budget. I feel his pain. I'm going to try to do as much as I can for him on the house. But this thing is just eating hours up on me. I mean, good Lord, I got hours and hours and hours in this thing. And I'm going to have hours more in it. I'm really hoping when I get this trans out of here that I'm not going to find anything else. But the trans is going to be hopefully an easy fix. You know, there won't be cracks in the crankcase, and the gears and all that will still be good, hopefully. Keeping my fingers crossed. The rods are perhaps a little looser than I'd like them to be, but you know, the hole in the motor, I guess, He said he didn't want to pull the motor. It's not really in the budget right now. I've seen rod sets a lot worse. Pulling a motor's not really in the budget. I think I just said I've seen rod sets a lot worser. I speak English. Worser's a word in Texas. I don't mark anything when I take it apart. I know where all the pieces go. I know where the long screws go. I know where the short screws go. These screws won't be going back in anyway. Gotta grab a wrench. You know, most of you guys know Sears spun off Craftsman, and I've had this ratchet for, Jesus, probably 30 or 40 years. Well, the damn thing has gotten so loose and it slips and everything. Anyway, you can buy Craftsman at Ace. Brought this down to Ace. I said, give me a new one. They, of course, did not have one exactly the same. They wouldn't even give one to me that was close, which really kind of irritated me, you know. It's not particularly good product support. But anyway, I got on the internet, and you could call Craftsman, for you guys who have Craftsman tools that get fucked up, and tell them, hey, you got a tool that's jacked up, you can't get it at your local Ace or wherever, and I think, Lowe's sells Craftsman too. So it was a little bit of a pain in the balls getting on the phone, but I talked to a woman over there. She steered me to the Craftsman Tools website and said, well, you know what, we'll just send you a ratchet, pick out one you like. So I picked out this one. This was like $30, 33, I don't know. And it replaces this one, and they didn't even make me send this one back. This one is almost useless. And I usually don't like tools with this ergonomic, slicky kind of finish on it. This is actually a pretty nice ratchet. And this particular bolt here is why the primary cover is leaking. This is where the pivot is for the primary chain adjuster. And if you tighten this too much, you split the case up underneath here. So the case is cracked, and that's where it's leaking at. So we're going to pull the case off, or pull the primary cover off. I'm going to weld that up, and we're going to pull the trans out in a minute here. Let's persuade it a little. That should be enough persuasion. Well, a little more. One of the things that helps is if you loosen the tension on the adjuster. Probably just pull it all the way out. What little fluid that was in there, of course, is leaking out right now. All over my straps. Gotta love it. bastard. I think that washer was binding up on the stud so the cover won't come off. If you got to pry on a precision surface, use something with a wide, flat blade. Don't use a screwdriver, please. And there we go. Ooh, that is, ooh. Well, I don't know if you could see that. That is some nasty down in there. Good Lord, that is nasty. Whoa. What's been going on in there? Whoa. Yeah, this, if I get this where you can see it. I have never, and I've been working on these fuckers for 50 fucking years, I have never seen this kind of stuff in the bottom of a primary. Good Lord, that is nasty. Jeez Louise. I don't know what that shit is. It is nasty. And there's more of it down here. Good Lordy. Nasty. And you know, it's worn clean through the adjuster. Oh, this is a mess. Good Lord, this is nasty. Yuck. Hell, it looks like it might have been alive once. Okay, tensioner, that's normal. As if he doesn't have enough problems already, here's another problem. Well, problem one won't come off. There it goes. Jeez. You don't think it was adjusted a little too tight, do you? Good Lordy. And of course it's all cracked and busted up here. Now if you can see that, the damn thing. So, you know, add primary adjuster to his list of parts. Good Lord. Hi. Okay, here's the clutch spring compressor tool. For years and years and years I used a homemade tool. But a few years back, I went to a bike shop. The sale bike shop has gone out of business. As it turns out, the owner of the bike shop had cancer and was on his last legs, so he was selling all of his stuff, and I bought a bunch of crap from him, and this was cheap. Not many guys do iron heads. Move the primary cover over to my drain bucket. Whoa, this is loose. Oh, that's not good. Whoa, this bike's got a problem. You know, I pulled the barrels on the heads off, and you know, the oil pump had leaked all the oil into the crankcase, and the crankcase is full of oil. So I got one of those siphon deals, and I sucked a quart plus of oil out of the crankcase, and somewhat surprisingly, not somewhat surprisingly, very surprisingly, the crankcase down at the bottom is actually like brand new clean down in there. And I think I said that the rods were a little looser than I'd like them to be, but the crankcase is so clean. There was no chunks of metal in there. I ran a magnet through it. The oil I sucked up out of there was really pretty nice oil. So had that been as nasty as this was, I think I would have told the guy, forget about it. It ain't worth saving. But it didn't look too bad. Of course, what I'm seeing here is not good. I'll hurt myself. There it goes. Valve job is done. Cylinders are bored. Trying to get this shit apart. Put some oil in the oil tank and pre-oil. Make sure the oil pump works. Spin the motor around a little bit, make sure it pumps just like I do for a fresh build. I've got many hours in this thing already, and the owner has spent a bunch of money on parts. And you know, you start a project like this, at what point do you say, fuck it, it's not worth it, you know? This thing is very close to that point. Of course, if you're watching this, because you build bikes probably, and you know you never get out of these things what you put into them. Take the pressure off the spring. Get the compressor out of the way. And if I couldn't drop that into a puddle of oil, I wouldn't have it any other way. You gotta love this too. This is supposed to be 150 foot-pounds. The motherfucker is loose. It's finger fucking tight. What a fucking douchebag put it together. Is that finger tight? No, that one's tight. And let's see. Let's get the plates on, take a quick look at them. A little rusty, a little overheated. Yeah. You can learn a lot about these by smelling them. They don't smell burnt, look burnt. Rust. Looks okay. Rusty. They say they look burnt, but they smell okay. I don't know how long since this bike actually powered itself down the road. It's been a while. Well, got all the spacers on it. A lot of times these come loose and they'll get welded, and it's hard to weld them and keep them straight, and they get misaligned and the clutch doesn't work worth a damn, but those are okay. Now a screwdriver and knock the tabs back. Watch this. I'm the strongest man in the world. 150 foot-pounds. And I could take this off with my bare fingers. Fuck, let's see you try that, buddy, huh? Quality maintenance. Whoa. Notice the main shaft, the clutch gear hub not wiggling around. Now you saw the play on the other side. I'm assuming it's because the whole shaft is able to do this shit inside there. We'll see, of course, when we get it apart. Let's get this off. You know, I pulled this bike apart and I got the sprocket off the other side, and I saw how loose the main shaft was. I thought it was going to be interesting to see what was inside here, and I thought it might make good video. And I'm not disappointed so far. We've got the nastiest guts I've ever seen. Let my compressor come up to pressure. Impact gun ought to be up to full chooch. Let's see what happens here. It started to move a little bit, I thought I saw. Alright, compressor kicked on again. Let's get it back up to full chooch. Okay, compressor kicked off again. Going to put a little witness mark on the sprocket in the socket so I can see if it's moving at all. Alright, back up to full chooch power. Let's see what happens. Wow, son of a bitch. I ain't moving. I'm gonna go to plan B. Well, that sucks. Plan C. do you think? Hot enough yet? Give it a try. Cocksucker ain't fucking budging. Huh. Well, that fucking sucks. Yes, all the shit in here is hot. Hot, hot, hot. Ouch. Let's put a little fire on it, a little more fire. Damn. Motherfucker. Son of a bitch. Alright, we're going to have to go off camera here. I'm going to get the camera out of the way. I'm going to lower the bike closer to the floor so I can get a little better angle and leverage on it. Back in a little bit, I'll let you know what worked. Alright, man, I'm back. The nut is off. The nut is here. The nut is hot. What ultimately got it off was subjecting it to several heating and cooling cycles and a rather Rube Goldberg method of extending a breaker bar. Believe me, I thought this was going to pop in my face before I finally snapped the nut loose. I usually have an old fork tube like that, but for whatever reason, I don't right now. At one point during it, jacking around with this, I put an extension on it to clear the stud and the shifter shaft so I could get a, under an angle on it without interference, and pop the extension right into. Craftsman. Hopefully they got another one they'll give me. Anyway, it's off. It's going to cool off in a little bit, and we'll dive in there and get the trans out. It's kind of sort of cooling up for right now. The homemade locking device. I had a guy over my website email me, and he wanted to know how to make this. I says, get a fucking ruler, measure the cocksucker, one other thing, to get this sprocket off, what some guys do is they'll put a bolt in these holes, and they'll just drive it into the crankcase and they'll push the gear off. Sure, it will push this off, but in the meantime, the end of the end of the bolt digs into the crankcase, fucks it up. If you're going to do anything, put a puller on it. And this one's pretty loose. Rarely do these come off with your fingers. Cool. Got a lot of crud in here, man. I was not planning on, well, I was planning on taking it off to weld the primary. It was cracked around here. But, geez Louise, you've got to pull in. Look at all this shit in here, you know? And we'll get the trapdoor off and see what's behind her. Okay, trapdoor bolt's coming out. Alright, trapdoor bolts are all out. Let's give this a little wiggle and we'll come out. Once again, we're going to persuade it. That one dislodged pretty easy, didn't need much persuading. Just pull it out of there. And, ooh, not good. Okay, we'll take a close look at that on the bench. Well, this is interesting. Oh, they're all melted. Oh, okay. I was going to say, usually there's 23 roller bearings that fall out. These guys are all melted. Ah, son of a bitch. Oh. That's going to be interesting. Going to be interesting when I get that out and take a look at it and see how it failed. Interesting. All right, for now that's it. I'm going to clean this shit up. We'll take it apart on the bench and you'll see what's going on with it.